Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Legendary Leaders Podcast. And oh my God, I have a treat for you today. I'm telling you, you're going to want to hear my guest. He is amazing. He has extensive years in educational leadership, and he's a coach or for leaders. So he has so much knowledge, and he's a science buff. So I'm going to let him tell the story that he just told about science. Because I was like, where's this going? I know it's going to be deep. And it was. It truly was.
Yeah,
So, audience, please welcome to the Legendary Leaders Podcast, Mr. Rick Fowler. Rick, welcome, welcome, welcome.
thank you
Introduce
so much,
yourself.
Coach.
Make sure you tell them that story because it was good. It was good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first, Coach, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be on your podcast. We've been at it for some time, and we finally connected.
We
And
got
so, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to not only share my story, but hopefully through the conversation, grow and learn myself
yes.
as well. As you said, my name is Rick Fowler. Currently, I am the humble servant of Hateville Charter Career Academy that is located in South Fulton. I've been here for since 2020, and it's really an exciting part of the year because as a principal, you only get a few times to come in with a group of students and lead, and that same group of students leave. And so when I started at this school, the group of seniors now, they were ninth graders. And so we started together and they're getting ready to end their journey. And so we're trying to just soak up um, as much time as we possibly can.
Wow.
Prior to being a leader here, I had the opportunity to serve for 5 years at the illustrious Benjamin Elijah Mays High School in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Prior to that, I served as a middle school principal in Fulton County at Woodland Middle School. And then prior to that, I was an assistant principal at Tri-Cities High School for a year. So I have somewhat of a carbon footprint, if you will,
Dude.
across Atlanta. And I have learned and grown and continue to do just that really every single day, Coach.
That is so awesome. So, audience, I have to tell you why I said boo. So, I went to the rival high school. I went to Southwest DeKalb High School in Atlanta, Georgia, and he, of course, was one of the leaders there at Benjamin E. Mays, and which is a great school. But I have to tease him every time about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we both have shirts that say Mays versus everybody, Southwest DeKalb versus everybody.
You know, and you gotta love it. You gotta love it. But Rick, I want you to tell our audience the story that you told me about air and pressure,
Yeah,
hot and cold, because you know what? That story is not just that story for the moment, but it's a story for life, right? And the way you related it, because I think a lot of people forget how important education is, how important STEM is, and how it's just not that category, but it's about life. Because you
absolutely.
said something there.
Absolutely. So I graduated college from Howard University
Wow.
with a degree in chemistry. I'm gonna tell one story, and then I'm gonna get to that one.
Okay.
That's really important just to my professional journey.
Mm,
I graduated with a degree in chemistry with full aspirations of going to medical school to follow in the footsteps of my father.
wow.
My father, he's deceased now, but we were very close, and he was an emergency room physician. And so,
Really?
really wanting to just emulate my dad because he meant so much to me, I had a desire to go to medical school.
Mm.
Despite the fact, Coach, that I was disgusted by blood and guts and all of that kind of stuff, I thought at some point I would just fight through it. When I was young, I would spend a lot of time at the hospital with him, and I would just try to, knuckle up. But I was disgusted by it all. But just wanted to be like him.
Wow.
So
Mm,
I took a year off from going to medical school to teach, and
mm.
I taught chemistry in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Wow.
And on a humble, my dad was on his way to Philadelphia. He has some good friends in Philadelphia, and he stopped in DC to just kind of see me. And he said, I want to come see you teach." So he spent the whole day with me at school, the
Really?
whole day. Yep.
Wow.
And we went out to dinner afterwards, and he said, "Son, you're not a doctor, you're a teacher."
Really?
Yeah. And it
Wow.
was so powerful to me for two reasons.
Mm.
One, it was like this heavy weight was lifted off of my back because he was right. I never was a medical doctor. It wasn't, listen, I tried, but it just wasn't in my
It
DNA.
was
You know,
you.
it wasn't.
It was you.
But the other thing that it communicated to me was the respect and admiration that he had for educators, because, you know, in a lot of circles, the to try to equate being a medical doctor and an educator, they're not equitable
Yeah.
professions. You understand what I'm saying? To be a medical doctor is to be here, and comparatively to be a teacher is to be down here somewhere.
Wow.
From just respect, from pay, from a whole lot of measurements. But
Mm.
my father had a high respect for educators and did not see that as being a diminishment of goals for me to be an educator as opposed to being a doctor.
Okay, that's really good.
It's
That's a
yeah,
blessing. That's a blessing.
yeah, it was really a blessing. So it freed me to be an educator.
Mm.
Now, to your story that we were talking about, at my school, students are able to move classes from one building to another, and because it's cold, kids kind of move quickly. But here in Atlanta, the morning is very cold, and then by the time it's 2 o'clock, it's relatively warm. So I have a hall monitor, and her duty is to watch the kids outside. But when it's cold, she doesn't come to watch the kids outside. So I called her today, and I asked her, did she understand the relationship between temperature and pressure?
Mm.
She looked at me as if to say, Fowler, of course you know I don't understand the relationship. So I started to explain to her that there is a direct relationship
Mm.
between temperature and pressure. As the temperature goes up, pressure goes up. As temperature goes down, pressure goes down, which is why in the wintertime, your tire light comes on, because as the temperature goes down, the air pressure in your tires decreases, which means those molecules that are moving around are not moving around as fast, and they're not bumping against the outside of the tire walls with the same frequency. So your car feels like there's less air in the tires.
Mm.
And that's because the pressure went down. She says to that, Mr. Fowler, what are you trying to tell me? Because I know you didn't bring me out here to tell me what the relationship between temperature and pressure. I said, you're exactly right, but hear me. When the temperature is down, the kids outside are trying to get out of the cold, so they move rather quickly from building to building.
Mm.
But when the temperature goes up, they will stand outside
Mm.
and coagulate, if you will. And I
Yeah.
said, so as the temperature goes up, it is very important that you are out here to push those kids along,
Yeah.
so that, because the temperature, they don't stay. She said, I understand what you're saying. And so coach, I think every time we have the opportunity to teach, and
Oh,
to connect, and listen, and to connect, um, even our adult experiences,
exactly.
something, it makes it a little more meaningful. And
I
so
love that.
I'm
Mm.
sure to her, she'll always remember that relationship. You understand what I'm saying? Even though it,
That was powerful. You know what I thought about when you said it, because I love that story and that analogy and the way you were able to coach her in the moment. So why did you take that type of leadership approach, right? And it reminds me of being transformational, because you transformed her thinking. You transformed, because you could have given her a directive, a directive, and like, get outside, stay outside, because I said so, and that's it.
absolutely.
But you took a different approach. So was that based on experience, time, just dealing with her? What made you take that type of transformational leadership approach?
I think when you can, listen, you, as leaders, it
Mm.
is it is imperative that we invest in the person before we invest in the profession. I'm gonna say that
Ooh,
again.
say it again.
To invest in the person before we invest in the profession. And
Wow.
so anytime that you can take a little bit of time to have a conversation,
Mm.
to connect what they're doing to some sort of real world experience, to
Yes.
try to grow people through
Yes.
small conversations and connect with them, people
Yes.
and give them an understanding of why they are doing what they are doing.
Mm.
Right? It creates this culture where people don't feel like they're working for you, they're working with you.
With you. Oh my God.
Yeah, so we're all in this. We're all in this together.
Together.
Additionally, let me tell you something, Coach. I was
Okay.
outside. I was outside doing the duty with her. So
Real.
I didn't. So listen, I didn't tell her over the radio or anything. I was outside doing the duty with her. The other thing that we have to realize in leadership is um, when you're in a position of leadership, it doesn't give you more authority to tell people what to do. It
Yeah.
gives you the authority to be vulnerable in all their spaces with them.
Oh my God. Yeah. You know your
So
leadership. You know your
yeah,
leadership.
so when people know that you understand their work because you are standing shoulder to shoulder with them, then
Yes.
they won't see it as an elite type of leadership, but they see it more as a servant type of leadership. When you are visible and some teacher has to go to the restroom and you watch that classroom yourself and you don't call a hall monitor or somebody to come and watch that classroom,
Yes.
it just and then when the teacher comes back, you didn't just stand at the door and watch the kids while you were doing something else, but you were in there engaging with the
Wow.
students and watching them doing. Listen.
Yes.
Not only does it matter for the students, but it also communicates to the teacher that you care about that time and that you are fully invested.
That's it. Oh
And
my
yeah,
God.
those kind of moments matter.
You know what? And you're taking the words out of my mouth. So you must be in my script in my head, right? Because you said it. And that was my next question. That is servant leadership in action, servant leadership in practice. So Rick, where did that come from? What obviously your dad was a big influence in that. Was
Yeah,
it leadership that you had that made you become a servant leader, or something you studied? Where did that initiate from? What was the birth of it?
I'm gonna tell you. It comes from it comes over time, and it
Okay.
comes from a mature type of leadership.
Ooh.
And so when I was young in my leadership, I remember one time I had a leadership coach.
Okay.
She was this was when I was at Woodland. She didn't know anything about education, but she knew about leadership.
Teach.
And I was always trying to impress her by trying to show her what a leader I was.
Okay.
So we had an issue with the buses. We had an issue with the buses, right?
Okay.
And I got on the intercom and I'm like, these kids go here, these kids go here. Y'all get on this bus, y'all get on that bus,
Mm.
right? And I'm feeling like I'm Barack Obama. I'm leading the free world, right? I'm on the mic and I'm like, boom, 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 boom,
Yes, I
boom.
can.
And in my mind, coach, I'm like, what would these jokers do without me? I have no idea. They so lucky to have me at the helm, you know? And I listen,
You the
and I hung
man.
up that intercom and I walked away like I was Denzel Washington in Training Day. King Kong don't have nothing on me. Boy, I led that situation. And so I walked into the office with like waiting to see her jumping up and down. And she said to
Mm.
me, and what would they have done if you weren't here?
Mm.
And I
Wow.
and so that resonated with me
Mhm.
because one's growth as a leader needs to be evidenced by everything not revolving around you.
Ooh,
My job,
yes.
my job is to prepare and grow everybody in the building,
Wow.
so that in my absence, the
Yes.
building goes smooth. In my
Mm.
absence, people aren't looking to me to tell them what to do. But there's a maturity that comes along with that. But because when you are young in leadership, like you want to be that dog, you want to be that one that everybody fears. You want to be that one. When I come out this office, everybody better get right. You understand what I'm saying? But
Mm.
the thing of it is, when you lead like that, as soon as you turn your back, they're gonna go right back to what they were doing. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? They're gonna do what you want to do. So part of that being a servant leadership has
Mhm.
come, that growth has come over time.
Okay.
And it's my hope that I can
Mm.
expedite that process through coaching so people don't have to go so long before they realize that your job really is to serve.
Mm. Oh
Job is
my
to
God.
elevate other people's voices over yours.
Mm.
Uh, is to
That
walk in
is
the room and almost be the last person to speak, because once you speak, it erases everybody else's thoughts, because now they're going to be trying to catch up to what you do. So you're not going to really get an authentic opinion from other people. Your job is to be able to synthesize the information from everybody in the room, so that when you do speak, it encapsulates everything that you've heard, and you're listening for all the angles. Your
wow.
job as a leader is to be vulnerable and say, I don't know, when you don't know,
Oh, wow.
and not feel like you have to have all the answers. Your
Yes.
job as a leader is to be sound in your philosophy of what it is that you want to do and what it is that you achieve, so that you don't come to the expectations that others have of what a principal should do, even if you are or are not the principal, because everybody's going to have their own opinion
Wow.
of what you should do as a leader. And if
Wow.
you are not sound in your own ability and
Okay.
your own philosophy, then you will find yourself, I like to say, chasing ghosts.
Ooh. You must
Trying
watch
to,
football when the quarterback sees ghosts and they just throwing somewhere.
which means you'll be trying to meet everybody else's expectation for adulation.
Oh my God. That is you said so much right there.
Yeah,
So let's unpack all of that. So let's first start back with, because you said you had a leadership coach.
yeah,
What in you said, I need to get a leadership coach, even though she doesn't know about education? And did it help formulate who you are as a leader?
it did. Luckily, the leadership coach, I can't take any credit for it. It came from the district. So the district,
Really?
in support of new principals, allocated this leadership coach.
Really?
Yeah, and
Oh,
she was listen. She was very impactful, because it didn't have anything to do with the X's and O's of teaching and learning and curriculum and all. It was all about how you move in the building, how you walk in
yes.
the building,
Mm,
how you talk, how you listen, how you interpret information, how you close the loop on things, how you prioritize what it is that you need to work on. Um,
mm,
it's all those intangibles that
okay.
that you rarely learn. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Most people ascend to the principalship because you were an outstanding assistant principal.
okay. Got it.
And what makes you an outstanding assistant principal is you're good at managing the day to day.
Okay. Mm,
The difficult jump in becoming an assistant principal to a principal is an AP manages the day to day, a principal manages the future.
ooh, you better say that. Oh my God.
Yeah, and
Being
so
able to
yeah,
anticipate the
that's
future. Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah. So you have to
Mm,
train the people in your building to manage the day to day, so that you can manage the future. And if you don't do that, you'll be managing the day to day along with everybody else. And so really, your building will have a bunch of assistant principals and no principal.
wow. That is powerful. That is powerful. So what do you think your biggest challenge has been as a principal?
Um, that's a good question. I think the challenges are situational.
Okay.
I think that the challenges are held in different contexts,
Mm,
connected to where you are in your leadership journey.
okay.
I think the biggest challenge that I have had is for my leadership journey is putting people over the organization. And
Oh,
so
really?
sometimes I have saved um, inappropriate behavior,
Mm,
underperforming, um, and I'm
mm,
talking both students and educators,
okay.
because you have to be very careful um, about the relationships that you develop, because
Mm,
sometimes those relationships will impair your judgment. you care so much about somebody, you may put up with more than you should
Okay.
because you so when I say your job is to invest in the person before the profession,
Mm.
you have to be careful with that because
Okay. Mm.
because of those relationships, again, people will have expectations of you. Like, come on, Fowler. Like, you really gonna write me up when we were just kind of kicking it in the cafeteria the other day and laughing about the football game. And so you have to make sure that you maintain that balance so
Mm.
that people know that you care about them, but they also know that you care about the organization more than you care about that individual. So what
Okay, it's a balance.
do is through our one-on-one relationship be detrimental to the organization.
Mm.
Was let our one-on-one relationship allow you the ability to underserve 150 kids who come
Mm.
from poverty, who need you more than ever. You understand what I'm saying? And so that can really be a challenge. It truly is a balance because you could go in so hard, coach. You could go in so hard and the people don't care about you. And you know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
they do what you tell them to do while you're present, but in your absence, they're gonna do what it is that they want to do.
What it
And so
is.
there is no sense of culture, there is no sense of community, there is
Mm.
no sense of belonging, there is no sense of shared values because they don't even know what you value because you don't share anything with them because you're just trying to be that dog. You understand what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So
Mm.
it's a yeah, yeah, you just gotta some of that you just gotta learn through trial and error, you know.
Okay, and but you're teaching them now, so
Yeah,
hopefully can get rid of some of that trial and error. So let's go through your journey because you were in the classroom and your dad empowered you to be who
yeah,
you wanted to be in the space you wanted to be there, right?
yeah.
So then you went from the classroom, you're doing your thing, and you're teaching them. So what led you into leadership? Because you went teaching, assistant principal, now the principal, and that's where you stayed.
Yeah,
So what led you there? Take us through that journey.
that's all good. Thank you for that. So, listen, I straight did not want to leave the classroom. I loved being with the students every day. I loved teaching. I taught chemistry, AP chemistry, environmental science, plants and people, all kind of stuff, right? And I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I had all these black male groups for the students. And so I really thought I was making a difference. And I felt like if I left the classroom, I would have less impact on
Mm.
students. And so I eventually got my master's degree in education from the University of Texas at Austin.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, that was a super dope program, a super dope program. Let me tell you one other funny story. I know the clock is ticking, Coach,
Oh, you're
but,
fine.
listen. To get into the program, you had to go through a classroom observation,
Okay.
and so
Mm.
all the professors in the department came to the school to teach. Came to the school to watch me teach. Right? They came to the school to
What?
watch. Listen, Coach, I never wore a tie. I wore a tie to work that day. All the students knew that they were coming. These jokers, it was like six of them. It was like six of them. These jokers in suits and bow ties. Not they ain't have bow ties, suits and briefcases. They walked in. They walked in and sat in the back. Right. I know you can't
Mm.
see everything, but as they walked in, the whole class did like this, including me.
Are you serious?
Right. So they walked in and they sat in the back.
Wow.
And then the students were looking at me. I was looking at them. I tried to teach, and the energy was all the way off. It was all the way
Mm.
off. I was nervous. They were nervous. They weren't looking at me. So I said, hold on, y'all. I took my tie off. I took my tie off. And I told the class, I said, I want you to turn around and just look at them. The whole
Mm.
class turned around and they looked at him. I said, all
Okay.
right, y'all look back at me. They turned around. I said, okay, everybody take a breath. Listen, I'm talking to myself too, coach. I need the breath more than they do. We all took a breath. I said,
You weren't breathing, huh? You were not breathing.
I was nervous in the mud, coach. So we all took a breath. I said, okay, let's do what we do. And then we ended up having a wonderful class. We ended up having a wonderful class. And
Wow.
they left. They left. The class started clapping. The class started clapping. So
Really?
at the conclusion of the class, you had to go through an interview. So went to the interview. They were like, was the class clapping for me? I said, yeah, they was clapping for me. We was all nervous in the mug. I was clapping for them too. So I had this
Wow.
shows the power of relationships, no matter
Mm,
what level of education you are.
yes.
Listen, I have 4 boys that weren't in class.
Wow.
They came later on in the day. And I was like, bruh, what happened? Why didn't y'all come to class today? They said, Fowler, we knew them jokers from UT was coming. We didn't want to mess you up. So we
Yeah.
all we weren't gonna come to class that day.
What? Are you?
So the thing of it is
Mm,
students they care for educators when you invest in them more than you will ever know.
yeah. Wow.
You'll ever know.
Mm.
Even to the degree, if I asked you, coach, who was your favorite teacher in high school?
Oh,
Listen,
I'll tell you. I bet
yeah,
you. I bet you know him. I
go
bet
ahead.
you that's Coach Godfrey, Coach Buck Godfrey.
I sure do know him. I sure
He's
do know him.
the best football coach that Southwest DeKalb ever had, but the best English teacher ever.
Let me
That
ask you
man
this.
knows
Let me
English.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. What made him so good?
He could teach. Truly, because he cared. That's the truth.
Stop
He
right there. Listen, if I ask everybody across America,
cared.
who was
Mm,
your favorite teacher? You're not going to start off by talking about the subject that they taught.
ooh.
It was
Mm,
the impact that they had on you as a person through the subject that they taught. You understand
yeah.
what I'm saying? So,
Mm.
so, so the impact that you have on kids is immeasurable. So, anyway, back to the story.
This is good.
So I got my master's there, and then as a part of that program, they put you as an assistant principal. You didn't have a choice. They did it as an intern. So that's how I got into the assistant principalship. And I said, okay, I'm just going to stay here. And then over some time, when I moved to Atlanta, I got my first principalship. This is what I had learned. This is what I learned because my fear was less connection with the kids.
Okay. Mm.
The reality of it is, as you grow in leadership, your classroom simply grows.
Ooh.
It You don't lose connect. Listen,
Oh,
now instead of serving 150 kids, you serving thousands of kids.
wow. And a
So
lot of teachers get afraid of that. A
I
lot
know,
of teachers get
yes,
afraid of that.
listen,
Mm.
you can relinquish that fear because you don't
Mm.
lose connection. Your connection and your sphere of influence and your capacity to affect kids grows and grows and grows. And then you have the opportunity to develop teachers to have the same impact that you had on kids. So now grow that exponentially. So you were one teacher who had 150 kids, but now
Mm.
you may have 10 teachers who you are developing. So you take that 10 and do 150. And if you could teach them to be a you, then look at how much your capacity has grown. And then when you get into the principalship, you have a whole building
A
that
whole is
makes sure
yours.
that have your same carbon footprint on those students and on those teachers as you did. People are looking to you to grow their careers. They're looking to you to grow them, to grow from a teacher to a department chair to an instructional coach. To they're looking
Mm.
to you to grow their influence, and so you don't lose connection with the kids. You just your influence grows. But listen, coach. So does your stress, so does your weight, so does your mental health. All of
Mm.
that comes along with the job. You never
Okay.
rest. You never rest. If there's
Mm.
a kid that didn't make it home and they realize the kid is missing at 12 o'clock, the police are calling you to find
Hallelujah.
out was he in school? Was he in? Yes, they're calling you.
Wow.
Somebody in your school unfortunately passes away. You are the one that goes to the house to see about the family and
Wow.
uses the school resources to help with whatever support the school needs. They
Wow.
need support in the community. You are the one that they come to say, can you help clean up the community, or can you come help this blood drive, or can you help these toys for tots, or you can. So your influence even expands to being a vital member of that larger community. So it's not just the school. The
Wow.
school is
It's
a
great.
microcosm of the entire community that you are now a leader of all of that. And so listen, if you looking to walk into leadership because you want that adulation, or you want somebody just to call you principal or something, no, in the first 3 or 4 months, all that's out the window.
That's gone.
I remember one year I was at Mays. Somebody asked me, "What you gonna do over Christmas break?" I said, "Hang with people that call me Rick. That's that's all I want to do."
You want somebody to call you Rick?
I don't want to get Fowler for a whole. Just call me Rick. That's what I
Oh
want.
my God.
You just have to be the impact that it has on your own family. Late
Mm,
night football games, scholarships.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
So
that.
speak
Trying to
to
maintain
that. How do
that
you
life.
handle all the pressure? Like it's a great responsibility, it's great influence, and you're making little ricks along the way. But how do you deal with that pressure? Because obviously, if you're a father and you're a husband and you got your church
Yeah.
responsibilities in the community, how do you balance all that and still have that
Tell you.
mental capacity?
I'm tell you, you have to. It's not a novel term, um, but you have to distribute that leadership.
Okay.
But
Okay.
listen, but
Okay.
listen. There's a difference. There's a difference, and I hope I get a chance to talk about it. But I wrote a book
Yeah.
called "The Blueprint to Successful School Leadership," and I talk about this in the book. There's a difference between delegating tasks and delegating responsibilities.
Okay.
So
Mm.
if you tell somebody, listen, I want you to handle textbooks,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to handle that, that's delegating a task, because once the textbooks are out,
It's
then
done.
that's done. You get what I'm
Okay.
saying? Now, it may come up at the end of the year, but that is a task. When you
Mm.
put somebody, make them responsible for the growth of teachers through running and facilitating effective professional learning communities, that's a responsibility,
Okay, got it.
because that's ongoing. And
Mm,
so then your job as a principal is to not be responsible for the entire English language arts department, but your responsibility is the person that you put over English language arts.
got it.
And your responsibility is to grow that person to be able to handle that responsibility. Your job is not always to step in and save them. Your job isn't, just like you expect an
Mm,
area superintendent, if a parent calls them and they never talk to the principal fully expects that area superintendent to say, I'm not going to engage with you, mom or dad, until you
mm,
engage with the principal.
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so as a principal, you have to extend that same level of respect to your assistant principal to say, I'm really not going to hear the issues and concerns of an individual teacher until you have discussed it with the assistant principal. And then
Exactly.
my expectation is that the assistant principal shares that with me, and you let me coach you on how to deal with the teacher.
Wow. Ooh-wee.
Now, sometimes that means bringing the teacher in along with the assistant principal so you
Okay.
can watch me deal with the teacher.
Okay. Okay.
So there
Mm,
are multiple ways that we could talk about how you grow assistant principals, but
okay.
that growth will allow the principal space to be an individual.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God. So Rick, you brought up so much good stuff. But I like, so, it makes me think of the military, right? Right seat, left seat, right. We're gonna do a ride along. So I just don't leave you out here, but you can see me do it. And so
Mhm.
I love that concept. But I want to get to your book. Tell us about your book. And do you have a copy? Where can we get it? I want to know about
So
your book.
yeah, so hold on. I'm running my mouth so much that
No, I love it.
my oh, there we go. My computer wasn't charging. So the title of the book is The Blueprint to Successful School Leadership, a guide to
Mm,
new and aspiring leaders. You can find
mm,
it on Amazon.
okay.
There is a book and a workbook associated with it. And so the book talks all about pace and cadence of new leaders, work-life balance, identifying and owning your own swagger.
Mm,
Listen, I'm a diehard hip hop fan, so each chapter comes along with a hip hop quote that's connected to those chapters. It's a quick read. It's only 5 chapters, but then there is a workbook that's associated with it that has some guiding questions that you can utilize. Really, my intention is that you don't utilize it all in one setting, but there are questions that can just guide your leadership journey and put some things in focus for you. So again, you can find it on Amazon. Yeah.
I was trying to pull it up so the audience can see it real quick, but we'll find it and I'll
Oh,
make sure I post it out there. But you know what? That is powerful. So your love for hip hop, because you got that swagger. You know
yeah,
what, Rick? Because I was reading that in my textbook where it talked about charisma. Part of transitional leadership is having that charisma. Part
yeah,
of coaching is having that charisma. Do you think that's missing from a lot of leaders, like
yeah,
repertoire?
yeah. So listen, you have to be through your engagement and your charisma, you have to
Mm.
instill a level of hope.
Oh.
And so when people see you as a leader,
Mm.
they have to feel your that sometimes you have to believe in people more than they believe in themselves.
Mm.
So your belief and your visibility and your touch points. Let me give you two examples. Can I give you two
You
examples?
can
I
give me
know
2
we're way over
examples.
time.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, listen. So from the hip hop, I just saw two algebra teachers.
Okay.
They were both, listen, they were cooking with hot fish grease. You hear me, coach? The students
Mm.
were having an accountable talk. I went to go see one, and it was so good. I went to go see the other one. And I brought them in because I wanted to talk to them to give them a joint feedback session because
Okay.
I felt like they could grow from one another's feedback. But I also wanted to commend them on the work that they did in the PLC was obviously evidenced in their classroom practice because their pacing was on point.
Okay.
When I went to go see teacher A, then I went to go see teacher B. They were both teaching on exponential something.
Okay. Yeah.
But they both had two really different approaches. One
Mm.
of them's teaching style is very conversational. It
Okay.
is very inclusive of student voice. She's
Mm.
very adept with the technology in the classroom, but her tone stayed
Mm.
like this the whole time. And the
Really?
kids were safe, and they have a voice, and it was very melodic and engaging.
Wow.
I go to teacher B. She's just as effective, but she's more like a this is how it's going to be. If you look away from me, I'm gonna call you out. But
Mm.
they still were getting the information across.
Okay.
Two different styles.
Wow.
So when I was explaining their two different styles, I said I got to give you a hip hop example of who you all are.
Mm.
So I said, if you listen to Tupac,
Speak that. Speak
his
that.
relationship with the beat is very aggressive. If
Mm.
I had to think of it as swimming, Tupac swims underneath the water. He's very aggressive with the beat in his cadence and in his style. He almost overpowers the beat.
Mm.
In turn, Biggie Smalls is very, yes, he skips along the top of the beat, right?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
it's very converse. You feel like he's telling you a story. You get what I'm saying? And
Exactly.
you have to
Yeah.
listen very intently to hear all of the components of the story. Whereas
Yeah.
Tupac, you feel like if you look away, he gonna get in trouble.
You're gonna get it.
Here we go. So I said one teaching style. I said you Tupac, and the other one is Biggie. They start laughing and cracking up. I'm Tupac. I like Tupac, but you know it's just a different connection point to explain um, their
Mm.
styles of teaching. Again, building relationships.
Building relationships. Oh my God.
Oh,
And
I
I
got
know
one more. I
that.
got one more, coach. I got one more, coach. I know you're sick of me. This is gonna be the last time you ever invite me on.
No, it's not.
You can edit.
I'm
You
loving
can edit,
this.
flip it, and reverse it. Take what you need out. Listen. So I'm in an 11th grade literature class, and
Okay.
they're going over. You'll be familiar with this. They're going over their right score results. And so this is
Okay.
an advanced placement class, and
Okay.
so on the right score, they had to write an informational essay, and then they get a score. So your score is one through 7.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting next to this young man. His name is Jai, and he got a 6. He got a 6.
Okay.
So I start bigging him up, and he's like, "Nah, Fowler, I kind of underperformed. I really should have got a 7." So we started talking about the components why he didn't get a 7. and he talked about his introduction and his development of support throughout the essay.
Okay.
And we had this whole conversation about how he's going to get better, whatever. So the same day, fast forward to the end of the day, I'm coming out to do dismissal, and his mom and his two siblings are there to pick him up. Well, him and one of his siblings, the other sibling, like 6th or 7th grade, they are battling to who's going to sit in the front seat.
Okay.
I'm watching this battle go on. And the high school student, he ended up getting in the back, and the little brother got in the front. So I walked up to the window. I knocked on the window, and they rolled the window down. I asked the mom, I said, do you mind if I say something to your son? Because he's not my student. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Listen, that's another growth point. But when you're in a parent conference, before you start to admonish culpability on the student in front of the parent, it is respectful that you ask the parent, is it okay that I engage your student?
Really? Wow. Yes.
Because from a cultural, familial standpoint, you do not know if that is okay or not.
Exactly.
And you cannot assume that your role gives you responsibility to address another parent's child in their presence.
Ooh, exactly.
You better ask first.
You better ask first. Ooh.
So I asked her mom. She said, yeah, that's okay. I said, listen, son. I said, you have the right to sit in the front until your older brother gets a 7 on his right score. So every time he wants to sit in the front, I want you to say, what is your right score? So the mom said, what you mean? What you mean, Fowler? I said, he got a 6 on his right score, which is a good score. I said, by his own admission, he underperformed and he wants to get a 7. I said, so listen here, son, until he gets that 7, you got the front seat. And if he battles you, you ask him, what is your right score?
What is your right score?
How long does this last? I said, you're going to take another right score next week. He'll get the score. And so as I was leaving, as they were rolling the window up, the little brother looked to the back, talking about, what's your right score? What's your right score? So,
wow.
Listen, my God. There's a chapter in the book around visibility.
Okay.
And, it is so important. Listen, you only have a finite amount of time to interact with students and teachers.
Yeah.
You have an infinite amount of time to sit in your office and respond to emails and reports and all of those things.
Oh, that's so true.
It is so important that you are out in those highways and in those byways, because the students, as well as the teachers in your building, will assign your beliefs to where you spend your time. It doesn't matter what you talk about from your mouth. It matters where they see you engaging and the type of conversations that you have in the building. Everybody listens. And so you got to spend time in the classroom asking students about their performance. You have to spend time in that cafeteria sitting with the kids, eating with the kids, and hearing them and seeing who hangs with who and what goes with what. And the more you are in those highways and byways, coach, the kids will let you know when it's getting ready to pop off. Fowler, listen, you better be in third lunch because I hear getting ready to go down. And if you work, listen, last thing I'm going to say, and if you work in a school, that has gang issues, you got to pull them in as a group and mentor them and talk to them. Listen, as a principal, you are not going to dissuade somebody not to be in a gang, and you're not going to suspend somebody enough to make them not be in a gang. The purpose of discipline is to adjust behavior. So if you suspend a kid 2 times for the same behavior, that intervention is not meaningful. If you meet with them and talk to them and get to know them, you will develop a relationship where they will not want to disappoint you.
Wow.
And if you're getting ready to go down, they will come to you.
And say, it's going down.
Yo, this happened last night, and unless you get everybody together, it's gonna pop off, Fowler. Call them together so that you can talk to us and calm us down. But you gotta invest in them all the time, not just when they get in trouble, not just when they call them all. You know who they are. You got police, gang units, all kind of. You know who blue. You know who red. Yeah, I'm not saying call both gangs in at the same time. I'm saying call all the blues and get a relationship with them. Call all the reds, get a relationship with them. They'll listen. It's gonna be hard at first because you're dealing with black boys. You're dealing with black boys who you have to work hard to gain their trust. But when you gain their trust, and they get vulnerable to you, then you can move in their lives. But until you gain that, it might take a year or two.
Wow.
You got to put in that work.
You got to put in that work. So tell me this, Fowler, because I heard you say it like 6 or 7 times. Do they call you Fowler or do they call you Mr. Fowler?
No, they call me Fowler, and I don't even care.
Tell me what that is about. I heard it. Is that a part of the relationship building?
Yeah, because I don't take it as a thing of disrespect, and then again being strong in who you are. It's teachers in this building right now that be like, why he just let them call him Fowler? He Mr. Fowler. You understand what I'm saying? But that doesn't listen. Whether you call me Fowler or Mr. Fowler is not going to enhance or decrease how I can move in your life in this finite amount of time that I have. So y'all could get caught up on the salutation if I want to, but it's like it's a nuanced game. You understand what I'm saying? It's a nuanced game. So I don't have to. It's how you speak to me. It's how you hold me in high regard. It's how you trust in allowing me to take control of your decision making from time to time.
Ooh, I love that. And you know they're going to remember you forever, right? You know they're going to remember you.
They come back all the time. And listen, I'd be as happy to see them as listen, I went into Chipotle one time. I had a student. This was from May. She back there cooking. And she turned Fowler. She came from around. She hugging me. Her manager came out and was like, "Yo, you better get back on that thing." She was like, "This is my principal." I said, "Girl, go back there before you lose your job." And so that's how. Listen, that's how you get your cup gets full, Coach. That's the balance.
That's the balance.
Listen, because when you invest emotionally invest in students. It's like putting money in your own bank account. If you don't put any money in your bank account, you don't have anything to withdraw. So as long as you are investing these kids emotionally, when they have a breakdown, when they getting ready to fight, when they getting ready to go wilding out on the teacher, and you come around that corner and you be like, "Coach, it's me. Look at me. Look at me."
Wow.
And they come with you, right? It's not because they fear you. It's not because they fear you or they be like, "Oh, hell, the principal's here. We better act right." It's because you emotionally invested in them. And then what comes opportunity to withdraw, you've invested enough for them to come with you.
Wow.
When you interact with kids, listen, when you interact with kids and they give you their ass to kiss, excuse my language, they do that because you haven't invested in them emotionally enough. And so then we want to castigate the blame on the kid and be like, "Ain't nothing I can do with you. You come from a one parent." We start blaming on all these things that we don't have any control over. And really what we're trying to say deep down is, because I don't have the strategies to move in your life, I'm going to blame you for your own behavior.
Ooh.
When really what we should be saying is, I don't know how to reach you yet. Help me help you. Because what I'm doing, I think I'm invested in you emotionally, but obviously I'm not, because I cannot make a withdrawal. And when you come up with that, don't get into this blaming the kid for everything, because it's not their fault. We just haven't reached them yet, and that's where the real work comes. And you might not be the one that reached them. It might be. Listen, you might have to go get the ELA teacher. You might be like, who is that? That Coach Vet? Oh, I can't deal with that. But what's her name? Can deal with her. Let me go watch his class and let him come over here and handle this situation.
Wow, that's it. That's innovative right there.
Yes,
that's innovative.
That's what you can do and what you can do. Listen, as a principal, you can't do it all. You can't reach every kid. You can't reach every teacher. That's okay. That's okay. You just have to have the wherewithal to know, as much as I want to reach this joker, listen, I can't. But I know who can.
I know who can. Oh, that's so good. Oh my goodness. Oh, Fowler, this is you off the chain. Oh my God. Oh my I could do this all day. This is
Listen,
amazing.
McCall, but I'm gonna tell you what it is because we called to do this. You don't choose this profession, you get called to it. And if you choose
Mm,
it, it's gonna spit you right back out. You got to be
mm,
called to do what we do. This work ain't easy. It's
wow.
not for the faint of heart. Listen,
Mm,
you get these people that come to these schools and listen. I'm not castigating any judgment because they have passion and they want to help. But it takes a different kind of person to pull in that parking lot every single day.
it does. It
It takes
does.
a different kind of person to teach that kid that you know is very difficult to have a relationship with every single day. It's
Wow.
difficult to teach that kid that you know are reading on a third grade reading level.
Mm,
You got the pressure of an end of course test, and that reading level is at 11th grade level. And the kid is going to do whatever they can to get out of reading out loud in that classroom if it means cursing you out from head to toe.
wow.
It take a different kind of person to do all of that, and so that's why I take my hat off. And listen, I'm gonna say this one more time, and I try to ring this trumpet as much as I can. If
Okay.
it's somebody that watching your podcast that controls the purse strings, pay these teachers what they deserve.
Oh my God.
If we
Yes.
paid teachers like we pay judges, we would need less judges in the world.
Mm,
Pay these teachers. They just do. They are responsible for this country's most prized possession, the children, for over half of the day, every day. And we pay these teachers pennies on the dollar for doing work that is more important than any other profession that I can think of than maybe a doctor saving somebody's life.
mm.
So if it's somebody listening, and I'm not talking a retention stipend. Listen, we love it. We love it. I'm not saying don't do that. But I'm saying pay these teachers their
Pay,
salaries that is commiserate with the work that they do. Please,
oh my God.
ma'am.
But you know what, Rick? Because the doctor wouldn't be the doctor without a teacher.
That's
So
right.
it all starts with the teacher.
That's
If
right.
you can't have the doctor in the emergency room if they first didn't go to the teacher.
Talk
So it
about
all starts with the teacher. And I agree with you on that. And you and Cat Williams are saying the same thing. So I mean,
it.
we in
Yeah,
good company, right? We in good
that's
company.
right. That's right.
So Rick, we're almost at the top of the hour. So you know where you are now, as great as you are now. What is one thing that you wish you knew that you could tell another leader coming through? I wish I knew this when I started.
I wish I knew how much influence
Mm,
that you have
wow.
to how much influence you have, not to necessarily change somebody's life, because sometimes I think we overdo it in that.
Okay.
We have students that I'm going to speak in the high school context.
Okay.
We have students for 4 years, right?
Mm,
It's almost like you got to look at a relay race.
mm,
The influence that you have for them to be able to receive that baton and run with it in the next season of their life
wow.
is insurmountable. And you have to realize and treat that influence with the amount of care that it deserves.
Wow.
And you have to utilize that influence. I had a conversation with a student just the other day. She was walking from class to class, and she's a senior. I've been trying to invest in these jokers because I love them to death, and I'm getting
Mm,
ready to love them. And we came in together, and I had a 5-minute conversation with her, and I was just telling her how proud of her I was and how much she has grown from her freshman year. And
mm,
we talked about how we came in together. We just had a regular conversation. But
mm,
the crux of the conversation was me telling her just how proud and how excited I am to see how good she's going to be in the next season of her life. That was yesterday. Today, she pulled me to the side. She said, I want to thank you for that conversation we had yesterday. I said, oh, okay, okay. She said, nah, I was having a really bad day.
really?
And you have no idea how much
Mm,
that conversation meant to me. And
wow.
so, and so that's the type of influence that I have
Mm,
because in that moment, you could yell at a kid or say something demeaning to a kid, and they're having a bad day. And you don't know what your words did to send that child all the way bad to have a bad day. You understand what I'm saying? So words, your actions, your smiles, how much you care, how much you connect with the parents. Listen, people lean and they trust on us to use our influence responsibly.
Yes.
To adults and kids. And I would say that to just be a protector of that.
Oh my God, Rick, that's amazing. So you're gonna have to come back because we haven't even gotten your book, we haven't gotten your business. There's so much more.
It would be my pleasure. It would be my pleasure. It would be my pleasure, Coach.
Oh my God, audience, this is amazing. I am so grateful that I finally got an opportunity to speak with Rick. That you all have an opportunity to hear from Fowler himself.
Yeah.
Goodness, I'm telling you, he is an all-star. I don't know, would it be maybe LL Cool J? I guess maybe is that your alter ego in the hip hop world?
I don't even know. I kind of see myself with more of like a J. Cole. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like J. Cole has the opportunity to be the greatest of all time if he has Jay-Z's longevity.
Okay.
Jay-Z been in the game for a long time. He's still relevant. If J. Cole stays as relevant as that, I think he has, or even Kendrick Lamar.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. That's smooth. That's all right. Well, audience, thank you so much for joining us. And I know that you've been blessed just like I've been blessed. And like I always say, audience, if you don't know what to do, if you can't do anything else, in all that you do not be ordinary, be legendary. Audience, be legendary because the world needs what you have to offer. Thank you so much for joining, friends, and we will see you next time here on Legendary Leaders Podcast. Bye for now, friends.